Hello, I'm Ivy Pfeffer, Assistant Commissioner of Educator Effectiveness and Licensure. I'm pleased to offer the following presentation as we share TESS and LEAD's best practices. This summer, we begin Leadership Quest, an exciting initiative aimed at providing professional growth for administrators. Rocky Malone will be coordinating this work. We are also exploring micro-credentials, so be sure to check back for updates throughout the year. It is my honor to serve the students and educators of this state. As always, my staff and I welcome your feedback regarding our TESS and LEADS trainings, mentoring, and licensure. Wishing you a relaxing summer full of sun, fun, and learning.
Welcome to your TESS and LEADS Best Practice Updates, prepared for you by the Office of Educator Effectiveness. These updates and best practices are available for educators as they prepare for the upcoming school year. We are proud to present you with this refresher and continue to provide information on our activities for informing our future work in the Teacher Excellence and Support System and the Leader Excellence and Development System. Today's training is divided into learning vignettes designed to deepen your understanding of the best practices of the Teacher Excellence Support System. By the end of this video, the viewer will be able to articulate central components of the support system, delineate fact from fiction as related to law, and articulate the process for professional growth. As Glinda the Good Witch of the North knew, it's always best to start at the beginning. So where did TESS and LEADS begin? Arkansas leaders seeking to reform educator evaluation began that process in 2009 with formation of the Teacher Evaluation Task Force. Collaborating with Charlotte Danielson, author of A Framework for Teaching, a diverse group of 36 stakeholders met over a 2-year period to accomplish this work. Stakeholders included teachers, principals, representatives from the Arkansas Department of Education, as well as college deans of education, business leaders, legislators, school boards, superintendents, and school district human resource professionals. During these discussions, the model for TESS was born. The goal: improve education in Arkansas. How to do that? By creating a process of continuous improvement gained through experience, targeted professional development, and the insights and direction provided through thoughtful, objective feedback about the teacher's instructional implementation. Ultimately, TESS and LEADS. The bottom line: the intent of the legislation was to support effective instruction and leadership by providing a comprehensive approach to strengthen the professional outcome of all educators in Arkansas.
We now know why TESS and LEADS are in our lives. Each have a central purpose of professional improvement, which brings us to these 2 simple letters: P, G, and then P again. Your professional growth plan. Please take a moment to discuss with colleagues what is a PGP and why do you need one. A professional growth plan is designed to meet the specific growth needs of an educator. It is personalized, professionally oriented, and timely. Take a moment to imagine your goal is to be the greatest professional of all time. Whether you are choosing to be a doctor, computer programmer, or maybe just the greatest goat farmer ever. While knowing the basics of each of these professions to achieve success, you must understand your strengths and your areas for improvement. Seek out professional development opportunities, and finally, evaluate your growth. True professional growth is the result of identifying goals to improve your professional practice and take actions towards achieving these goals. The days of summer basket weaving professional development are over. Designing your professional growth plan is a process and required by Arkansas law. Step 1 is to determine your growth areas. It is best practice to conduct a self-assessment, identify needs using state assessment results, and your summative evaluation from previous years or other resources. Once you've identified your areas for growth, the next step is planning your goals. What are the specific skills or content needing to be improved? What professional development is available to support your needs? And finally, how will you know your goals have been achieved? These steps are important as we move from general compliance to competency-based system. Again, this is a collaborative process between evaluator and educator. At this point, novice teachers may be wondering, how do I set goals without supporting data? Or I'm new, so my self-assessment showed too many areas to improve. It is best practice to wait 3 to 6 months before sitting down with your administrator to develop your professional growth plan. Why would the novice teacher wait 3 to 6 months before developing their PGP? Because the novice teacher will be utilizing the Survive and Thrive content, while principals are observing and collecting evidence to identify the teacher's need. Mentors will be coaching and preparing them for the development of their PGP. Remember, the purpose is to create a plan of study that, when completed, results in the acquisition and application of knowledge, skills, practices, and behaviors that improve professional practice for student achievement. The purpose is never to just get something typed into Bloomboard, because, as Charlotte would say, it is essential to recognize that these goals are goals for the teacher's learning, not student learning.
Hello, I'm Lindsay Bell, 3rd grade teacher at Ward Central Elementary in Cabot. It's time for a game break. Yes! The next slide will be played following the 2 truths and a lie. In this game, 3 statements will be shared. 2 of the statements are truths in law, while the 3rd is not law, but is instead district discretion. 1. The evaluator and educator work collaboratively to develop the professional growth plan. 2. A minimum of 2 goals must be included when developing the plan. And 3. The evaluator has final approval of the professional growth plan. Take a moment and decide which of the statements are founded in law and which statement is decided by each district. The 2 truths in law are statements 1 and 3. Give yourself a well-earned high five if you got these correct. It is true that the PGP must be a collaborative effort between both the evaluator, educator, and that ultimately it is the evaluator who approves the plan. Number 2 is not stated in law. The statute requires that educators set goals and align to appropriate evaluation framework components. Each district is given the discretion to set the number of goals and components. Does your district have a protocol determining the number of goals and components required? If so, do you know that protocol? If you didn't fare so well on the last game, let's try another. Can you spot the untruth? 1. A professional growth plan may only be written at the beginning or end of each school year. 2. A professional growth plan can be collaboratively modified throughout the year. 3. Self-assessment, previous summative evaluations, and reflective conversations are all integral to the professional growth plan process. As previously discussed, a PGP, in the case of novice teachers, may need additional time to develop those growth areas. So, Statement 1 is untrue.
You have your professional growth plan established. So now it is time for your evaluator to conduct classroom observations. The type of required observation varies depending on whether you are a summative or non-summative track educator. Summative tracks are educators on tracks 1, 2A, and 3. Non-summative tracks educators are on tracks 2B1, 2B2, and 2B3. Do you know your track? Let's review some of the requirements for a summative track educator. These educators are required to have a collaboratively developed PGP, one formal observation that is announced and includes a pre- and post-conference, evidence collection opportunities, and an overall performance rating. Think of these as minimum requirements. School districts may set guidelines for additional informal observations. These additional observations, along with classroom walkthroughs, which are essentially informal observations, may be added to the data in Bloomboard. These are additional opportunities for an evaluator to collect evidence to support an educator's professional growth. Ratings for a summative are rated on every component in all domains. Like their summative track counterparts, non-summative track educators collaboratively develop a PGP, receive an overall performance rating, and provide evidence and artifacts to support their PGP. Evidence may be collected and uploaded to Bloomboard during informal observations, classroom walkthroughs, conferencing sessions, or by uploading artifacts to Bloomboard. A formal observation is not required by law. PGP years are only rated on the components in the PGP, but observers can add components if they feel it is necessary. However, they should notify teachers if they do so. The topic of evidence collection has been mentioned multiple times. Evidence is collected through a variety of means. Examples of evidence types are direct and indirect observations, artifacts, and school data. A direct observation is an observation where the evaluator is physically present at the location of the observation. An indirect observation is when the evaluator is observing systems that operate without the teacher or leader present. Artifacts are often the most misunderstood type of evidence. In the archaeological realm, we would be discussing ancient Egyptian masks or the Dead Sea Scrolls. While not as flashy, educational artifacts are equally exciting. Artifacts refer to IEPs, parent communication logs, lesson plans, or any other evidence that already exists as a part of the educator's natural work. Artifacts are not created to demonstrate compliance and should not be additional work for educators. If you are putting in extra work just so you can attach an artifact to a domain, it's time to take a breath and relax. Best practice uses artifacts as naturally occurring pieces of evidence that support instruction. Naturally occurring refers to those lesson plans, data sheets, communication notes, and more that educators do every day to ensure high quality instruction. But how many artifacts are required by law? Is it possible to have too many artifacts? The requirement for the number of artifacts is a local decision. Artifacts are used in tests for evidence applied to rubric components outside the classroom observation. These are typically occurring in Domain 1 and 4. Also, TESS artifacts may be used to provide clarity for observation evidence. Artifacts will add to the support for teacher performance ratings. To answer the question, the number of artifacts required is determined locally, and there is no such thing as too many artifacts. However, keep in mind that depending on the local decision, it is possible to have too few.
Hello, I'm Marybelle Childress, principal of Monitor Elementary School in Springdale. Your evaluator has asked you to upload 2 artifacts for Domain 1B, Planning for Instruction, Knowledge of Students, into Bloomboard. Let's take a moment and brainstorm with a partner as many examples of potential artifacts as possible. Some of the examples you may have brainstormed are test scores, child development research, child development charts, student learning profiles, surveys and inventories like interest and learning styles, etc., assessments in reading, language, math, and IEPs, AIPs, and 504 modification plan. This, of course, is not an exhaustive list. Additional examples can be found under the teacher support pages on the Department of Education website.
So at this point, a few of you may be thinking, it sure was more simple back in 1999. After all, artifacts, tracks, evidence collection, Bloomboard are a lot to keep in line. Let's end with a simplification, a Cliff Notes version of this fabulous presentation, if you will. First, using self-assessments and previous evaluations, the educator will collaboratively develop a PGP. Remember, no more basket weaving, professional development. Next, the evaluator will conduct observations, formal or informal, and collect evidence to support educator growth. Formal observations only are required for the observer to be present 75% of the class period. Informal observations can take place using indirect or direct observations, artifacts, and data. In Bloomboard, an administrator is able to tag and rate a focused area to help aggregate end-of-year ratings. This could help drive an individual teacher's PD or school or district. Remember to know your track. Finally, the educator is assigned an overall performance rating and ongoing support. What is the final result? Effective instruction and leadership resulting in a stronger professional. We wish each of you the best as we continue on this journey together. Additional information is available at the Arkansas TESS and Leads Handbook at www.arkansased.gov. This video has been created by educators for educators with special contributions from the following: